how are you today? This blog is all about 3 ways you can get out of your own way. And when I say that to lots of clients, they're like, I didn't know I was in my own way. Most of us are. Most of us follow the expectations from our family, and we follow a certain career path, for instance, a family route. So take a moment and think about who made the decisions in your life that have got you to this point right now. Have you led your life in life flow? You've just gone with the flow, groovy? Or have you been really deliberate, really purposeful, made a decision all the way along the line, what are you going to do with your life? Are you aware of the anchor points, the things that have changed your life? I can remember at least 3 things, anchor points in my life where I could have gone in various different directions. The first one was a job interview in London. I had 3 job offers, and I remember really, really clearly being in one of those red telephone boxes, that ages me, and making the decision in that telephone box which job I was going to go for in London, and it changed my life. Another one was when I was sat at my desk. I was working in marketing, so I'd gone for one of those jobs, and the telephone rang and a letter landed on my desk. And do you know what I did? I just left the building. It was too much. I had burnt out. I was pregnant with my first son, and I changed my whole life. I walked away from my corporate job. I remember that anchor point very, very clearly. Another one is knowing my ancestry, knowing what my family have done, watching my mum work incredibly hard, putting others first, and watching that. That's an anchor point. That's a memory for me. So those kind of things are in our psyche, whether we know it or not. And some of the times we can just move past those anchor points. We can move past those old stories that keep us stuck, and we can just get on and we can just do it. I have been loving watching Alison Edgar on social media this week. She is a fellow author, a best-selling fellow author. Her book, The Secrets of Successful Sales, has skyrocketed. Now she's got her book written, she has decided to turn her attention to her health, and wow, has she done it. She is running every day, she's given up alcohol, she is a girl that has got out of her own way. Amazing. Big, big applause to you, Alison. But we're not all like that, are we? We can't, all of us, just suddenly click and decide that we're going to change our life. There are hidden emotions, predispositions, emotional undercurrents that are in our way of life, the way that we do things. Sometimes it's familial, sometimes it's the family, their expectations, the ancestral line. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. The fact is it's affecting your behaviour right now. It breaks my heart when I see people self-sabotage. It's so upsetting. Answering a few questions, finding out, taking a moment to ponder what's going on in your life, your anchor points, what you did in your life. In this blog today, if you click and have a look down, I have put some questions to you I'd like you to answer. Take your time, answer the questions and see what comes up for you. Then you can move on through, and if you feel inclined you can book an appointment with me and we can talk through those questions. No obligation, I just want to know a little bit more about you. So I promised you 3 ways, 3 tips to get out of your own way, and the first one, I think I've discussed it, is unlocking your past. Finding out what those old messages have been telling you and how you're working now. So my family history tells me that my dad was incredibly well read, but he never went to university. He's very eloquent, but he never went to university. My mum worked incredibly hard. So those stories are in my life, and I went to university. I went and did my law degree purely because that was my family expectation. I didn't like law. I was not interested in law, but I did it because I thought that was a good route. I did it because there was no pressure from my family. It was simply an expectation. So what are the messages that you're being told in your thoughts? And what I find fascinating are food messages. What messages have you got in your psyche about food? My mum was always, you've got to feed the working man. The working man needs his food. Therefore, my plate was as full as a working man's plate, purely because my mum thought I was a working man. I don't know. It all got a bit confused in childhood. But there are other ones. Caroline, a gorgeous client, Caroline, was explaining to me that her food message was because her father, she's an American, her father was in the Depression, and therefore everything was valuable. All food was valuable. He would quite often go up for seconds or thirds from a meal because he felt that deprivation from the Depression. It was really, really vivid for him. So Caroline, my client, followed the same path. The difference being the food that we have now is not the quality of the food that we had then. If we're having seconds and thirds of processed, cheap, junk food, even if we're having seconds and thirds, it is atrocious for our health. So those food stories are no longer relevant. Perhaps you've been brought up with the food story, the kids in Africa. Oh my word, the guilt, the shame of throwing out food because of the kids in Africa. My word, if they ate the food that we ate, they wouldn't want it. And then there's a clean plate. The message of a clean plate. Oh my word. Or the other one that I heard this week, well, I'm going to eat it. I've paid for it. But you've paid 30p for something, or, a value of 30p. You might have paid £6, but it's only worth 30p. But there's this whole money mindset come into the food that you eat. What are your messages? It's very easy for a third person to see them, not so easy to see them for yourself. So I invite you lovingly to answer some questions. It's in the blog. Click now, have a look, and you'll find those questions. You need to click through. Take your time, find out, uncover the questions that you've got, the paths that you've been following. Uncovering your past, unlocking your past is your future success. My other passion is finding out what your passion is, and that will help you to get out of your own way. A client of mine, Linda, I could not get her to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning and go for a run. Funny that. I couldn't get her to eat her veg. Okay, got that. So what could I do? How could I unlock her passion? Her business. She has a business where she works with corporate gentlemen, corporate companies whose eco-credentials are not good. So she goes in there and she sorts out their eco-credentials. She makes their companies more sustainable. She makes the corporations themselves work better. So that was her passion. So when we talked about not getting up at 6 a.m. to go for a run or changing her diet in any way, we said if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to fulfill your destiny, your passion. Whoa, that worked. Her lack of health was not going to help the environment. So her passion unlocked her health. Knowing yourself, that's my third tip. Taking the time to know, are you eating because of your parents' famine, shortages, or are you eating because of old messages that you've been told? Uncover your past, unlock your potential, and find out more about yourself. That's what those questions are going to find out. So click the link, spend some time answering the questions, and get back to me. Let me know what your thoughts are. This is Adele from Get Gorgeous. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.